Welcome to the Barrawan Branch Model Railway. This episode outlines the basic ground cover and lineside fencing. In nature, grass begins short and green. As it grows, it changes color, length and texture. I add ground cover to a scene in the same way. I begin with a light dusting of fine green grass, then build up from that. Scenic cement is dabbed on the areas where I want grass. The greater the volume of scenic cement applied, the greater the amount of grass held. I build up the green foam slowly, varying the density across the area with more towards the center of grass patches and less towards the margins. There is generally more grass near the base of railway embankments than further up the slope, so that's the focus initially. That's the first pass completed. Now to add color and texture. I gave the glue about an hour to bond with the ground foam before brushing loose material from the roads and other areas where I didn't want it. I covered some holes in the shaker to limit the flow of foam and to allow more accurate placement. After spraying the foam with water and then scenic cement, I sprinkled more fine foam onto selected areas. This allows the foam to sit on top of the glue, giving it a more open appearance. I followed this with coarse light green foam along the base of the embankment, the banks under the bridge and around the base of the mullock heap. These areas were not easily maintained back in the day. Finally, the new work was given a misting of water so the glue would wick into the foam from below. I covered some of the holes in the shaker to allow more accurate placement of the coarse foam along the embankment base and around the perimeter of the mullock heap. In the 1960s, a post and wire fence ran along the base of the embankment, and the grass was always fine burnt grass was added along the road verges. Small patches of fine dark green foam represent weeds. I also began a foot track between the embankment and the mullock heap by adding a line of burnt grass. Other colors and materials will be added in time. Then it was time to add static grass along the embankment base. The boundary fence will straddle this. I began with 4 mm medium green. Then immediately vacuumed up the excess strands. Then applied a mix of light green and straw. The result is a grass sward with a darker base and lighter top as occurs with long grass. The lineside fencing is next so that it sits naturally within the later scenic cover. I began by setting the corner posts in place. I used 3 mm diameter dowel for the corner and end of diorama posts. I brushed some raw umber around the tops of the fence holes to hide the white plaster and foam. Then I glued the posts in place at a scale 4 feet 6 inches high. Finally, I spread a little fine grass foam around the post to hide the glue and because grass commonly grows right up to posts. The fence is the split post design which was common at the time. The main posts are 7 scale inches square, and the split posts 3 by 7 scale inches. I drilled holes in each using a number 72 bit. The posts were stained with India ink in alcohol. I used easy line to represent the wires. Because it is so fine and flexible, I threaded it through all of the line posts at the workbench, like a string of beads. I then strung it out along a meter rule to take it to the diorama. This prevented the posts and wires from tangling. Tape at each end made handling easier. I then set the posts and the pre-drilled holes working from one end post, down along one side of the embankment, under the bridge and up the other side. I had made notches in each corner post to hold the fence wires at the correct spacing. Then, I set each post to height and glued it in place. Once the glue had dried, I pulled each strand taut and attached it to the end posts with superglue. In real life, line posts are set perpendicular to the slope to reduce unnecessary strain on the post and wear and tear on the wire that will cause it to fail. That's it for the first pass scenic work, but there's more to do before the diorama is finished. The next episode will cover track laying and ballasting. Until then, happy modeling.